We are continuing to plow through, working on our reports. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually build a sort of like a dynamic report page. And so we've started down this path a little bit, and now we're going to continue it. So if we go to our, where did I go? Reports page. We have our selector, and right now we're just displaying the report ID. But instead, what I want to do is I want to fill out the reports. So I'm going to actually call this, I'm going to send an ID, and I'm going to say display report parameters. And what that's going to do, so let's see, blah, 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 that needs to be ID. So I'm going to do display report parameters, ID. I'm going to put this on top of it just because. So now it's going to call this, and it's going to just open up the parameters section there and then return. So, but what we need to do is here, I'm going to get, let's see, this will be RPT parms. We're going to call it that. And we're going to give it an ID for report. It's going to do get, it's going to set. This time, however, our element is actually going to be our parameters. Actually, let's just pull that whole piece out. And we're just going to do all of it here. So what it's going to do is it's going to get that element. We're going to do display block. It's going to be the last thing we do. And then what we want to do is, we want to take the response and set it to that. So that was element dot, because we're going to actually build the whole thing here. So now what we need to do is we're going to have to actually get the response that we get back from our AJAX call. So we're going to actually do something with this, which, did we do that before? Where was that at? That was at we didn't before because we were just doing a fire and forget. This time, we're going to tweak it, and we're going to actually deal with our response. Three, two, one. Now what we have to do here is we have to actually, we're going to have to set some stuff up here. So this is a little bit different from what we've seen in the past. We're going to do an on ready state change. And so this means basically when this thing comes, when some sort of response comes back from this, we're going to be working with it. And so what we want to do is we want it to be equal to a function. And in that function, because we're going to do stuff. And so if this dot ready state equals 4 and this dot status equals 200. So basically, if this thing completes, if we get a return, we're going to do something. And we're going to do the result that we get back is the response text. And then actually we're going to have to within this, whoops, I've got to do that right. And then what we need to do is we're going to have to actually do the update here. So it's going to be, since we don't have this within, we're actually going to have to do this here as well. Actually, yes, let's just move all of this in here. So we're only going to deal with this once we get back a response. And we're going to have to build this out. So it's going to take us probably again a couple of episodes get through this, because first, okay, so let's see. So we're going to come through. We're going to call report parms. We're going to give it that. Oh, no, we want it to be equal to result. And then display. Get element by ID. Okay, so now we need to go to what we're calling, which we called RPT params, and we're going to send it an ID. So let's set that up. I called it that. So let's see. I've got one here. I'm just going to steal this just to make it a little easier. And that's going to be my here. So this is going to be, I'm going to call it report parameters. And so I'm going to need a report parameters over on this side, on my views. And I'm going to do something. Let's just do this. Let's steal this guy. Parameters. He's going to have an ID. And the response I'm going to send back is going to be the parms. And parms equals, we're going to start with, we'll do it this way. Yeah, it's not going to be an H1, it'll be an H4. Let's see, we could say no parameters available. And then otherwise, we're going to come in, we're just going to hard code this right now. We could do something a little more complicated, but we're going to keep it essentially hard coded in our report parameters. And so we're just going to do if ID equals 1, we're going to do something. If ID equals 2, it's going to be something else. And if ID 3, it's going to be something else. And then in each of these, because we look at our reports, each of these, it's by status, by roadmap, or by timeline. So each of these we're going to actually have, you're going to select a status, a roadmap, or a timeline. So each of these is going to start with a selector. And we're going to do, his name is going to be equal to RPT parms, parm1. So we're going to start that. So each one of these, this would be eventually we could have multiple parameters. And then here, this is going to be in a select. And then we're going to create some options. So we're going to do this for each of these actually. And then we're going to create some options. And the options are going to be based on something. So something is good. So first what we're going to do is let's look at, what do we got? We've got timeline roadmap at status. So let's note timeline roadmap status. Whoops, go over here. And then this one's going to be timeline roadmap status. And so this actually becomes pretty easy because our options is going to be equal to timeline dot objects dot all. As we've seen in a couple places down here. Like here, we're going to do essentially the same thing. Except, let's see where we did it here. See, we're just going to take that, and instead it's going to be timeline. It's going to be roadmap. And it's going to be status, which we called LKP status. Okay. Now what we can do with each of these, we could build it here, and we could also build it actually on the other side, but it's a little easier just because where we're at, we're going to do this. So we're going to do for opt in ops, and then each of these is going to build a select. I'm sorry, an option. So it's going to be option. And then actually what we can do is we're going to do this in a one-liner. And we're going to do, let's see, sorry, ID equals, and we're going to send it, we're going to give it the option.id. And here, we're going to give it the option dot. I think we just do option, and it's going to probably pick up to string for us. So let's try this. So you can see we could actually do stuff a little. Let's see, option ID. Yeah, so we should be able to get that. Let's see how this works out. I think, let's see, in there, got that, got that, got that. Why are you complaining? Oh, timeline. Time frame, I'm sorry. And that's going to get us our response. We're going to send our response back. So first, let's just test this. So if we send it here, what did we call that? Go to URL. That was RPT parms. So let's just steal that real quick. So if we do one, oh, because it doesn't like it. It's an ID versus, so let's, that's going to actually be string. And actually we can take that with each of these. We could actually, in this case, we could simplify it, but I'm not going to because we may eventually have different parms. Let's see. So time frame to string. So we do need that. So we're going to say here, I think we can do opt.name for each of them. Except for, well, we may be able to. Let's see, did I get that? I mean, we're sort of doing quick. Okay. So now that's if I do it for that one. I'm going to get this little selector. If I get this one, okay, so there's an unbound local. Oh, I managed to lose my ops there. That one, so it's, this one was look up status. This one was roadmap. Okay. So that's all my roadmaps. And there we go. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and with each of these, I'm going to actually do a label basically. And it's going to be select timeline, select roadmap, select status. So now that's what I'm going to get back. So now what I can do is, let's see. Well, did I get that done? Let's go check real quick. If I did my reports, I can't remember if I had this set up right. So if I do my roadmap, oh, there we go. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm going to give myself the ability to select parameters based on a report. And then I'm going to come back next time. We're going to actually generate a report. So with each of these, actually what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to need this, I'm going to have a button. I'm actually going to steal this one because I don't even need that guy anymore. And within the parameters, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do a row here. Well, let's do it this way. I do a row here. Oh, because I'm changing the inner HTML. So what I want to do is that div is, I'm going to have a button and I'm going to have a row here. Oops, I just totally did something weird on that. But now that's, oh, so I'm going to have to change this around a little bit because of that. Because I'm doing the inner HTML of this parameters, I'm going to have to actually change that up. So we're going to have to tweak this a little bit next time. So let's do our button for now. We're going to put it here. This is going to be run report. And he's going to be run report. And we're going to give it probably an ID, or may not even have to. So that'll be what we're going to pick up next time around. So next time around, we will run a report. For now, we're getting there. And you're going to see here, I get my parameters as needed. And we'll clean this up a little bit and generate our reports next time around. So until then, have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time.